it's Mary. Welcome back to my channel, and I am recording on my new phone, so hopefully you guys can hear me okay. You get a lovely shot of my attic entrance, and yeah, I have my hair down. I'm just kind of bumming today, but it is what is today? Day 8, I think? Wait, no, day 7? I don't know. I don't know what day it is, but it is the next day of Vlogmas, and today I'm doing the TBR tag, which has actually been on my list for a while, and I keep forgetting to do it. So today I was like, you know what, let's do the TBR tag. Now I have multiple TBRs, as I'm sure most of us here on BookTube do, because I have 3 TBRs. I have a physical TBR pile, which is books I keep on my roller cart that are TBRs of physical books I want to read. Then I have a list I keep that's like a spreadsheet that is all the books I want to read that I have been recommended by other booktubers. So when I watch you guys' videos, I have my Google Doc up and I do my spreadsheet and I just start writing down things. So I have a whole list that are like recommendations from videos I've watched you guys do. And then my third TBR is actual like Kindle TBR. I keep my Kindle organized into collections, and so as I see books from BookBub or advertised, or I'm like, scrolling through Facebook and I see an ad for a book on whatever, I will download the book and I will throw it in my TBR folder for Kindle. So I have probably the most books on my Kindle TBR, so I've decided that for the purposes of this tag video, I'm just going to go by my Kindle TBR pile, but I do have 3, so we'll see how it goes. But I think the TBR pile on my Kindle is a little bit more like authentic in the sense that, not really that the other ones aren't authentic, but these are books that like no one really recommended them, but they're books I saw either advertised or whatever, and I thought looked good, so that's why they put them on my TBR. So it's a little bit more authentic that way, whereas other ones are more recommendations or ones I was given or that sort of thing. All right, jump into the questions. First of all, I don't know who created this tag. Honestly, I didn't really look, so that's kind of bad. If I find who created the tag, I will tag their original video below. If you happen to know who the original creator of this tag is, then tag them below. So give us a link to their video. But I did not create this. This is something that someone else did. I'm just doing my version of it. Okay, guys. Question number 1. How do you keep track of your TBR pile? As I mentioned before, for the purpose of this video, I'm doing my Kindle one. So I keep things in collections. I have all of my books on my Kindle in collections. I have some that are collected by authors that are my favorite authors. I have some that are by the type. So I have some that are like mafia romance and royalty romance and historical romance or whatever. And then I have my collection, that's my TBR folder. So I have it in a collection, so I can go to that collection in Kindle and see every book that I have not read yet. Question number 2. Is your TBR mostly print or ebook? It's definitely mostly ebook. I read primarily ebooks right now because even with my bifocals, it's not easy for me to read a physical book. I can do it, but it's easier just to do it on my phone. I can carry my phone or my Kindle with me everywhere I go. I can enlarge the font so that the words are really big and I can see them really well. So I tend to read most everything in ebook, which is why ebook is my biggest TBR pile. Question number 3. How do you determine which book from your TBR to read next? And I really just go by what I feel like reading. Sometimes it will be because it's part of a series. So if I'm reading the first book in a series, then I will like, oh crap, I gotta read the second, third, fourth, whatever. Or it'll be like if I'm in the mood for historical romance, I might just pick a few historicals. If I'm in the mood for a mafia romance, I have a ton of them. I've been in the mafia kick for like a year and a half. I will do those. If I feel like something that's like royalty themed, I'll pick something off of that's royalty themed or whatever. So it's just really what I feel like reading. I don't really have like a planned TBR. I've tried planned TBRs, especially for like a couple videos I've done, and they just don't work for me because I read really like what I feel like reading at the time. I don't read like things that I've planned out and have an order to. It's just kind of whatever mood I'm in that day. Next question number 4, a book that has been on your TBR list the longest. So I sorted by date added, and the very first book I have listed on this pile is called The Handfasters by Helen Susan Swift. And I have still not read this book. This is something that was recommended to me, oh my goodness, I think like 3 or 4 years ago. It's an old book. It's been on my TBR pile literally forever, and it is a Scottish romance, which first of all, I don't tend to like Scottish romance a lot. And it's also a clean romance. It was recommended by someone I go to church with who was trying to recommend some clean romances to me or some Christian romances to me. And the reason it's been on this list forever is because it's a Scottish romance. And I really kind of don't like Scottish romance. Sometimes I do, but typically I don't like a lot of Scottish romance. So I just have never picked it up. I should probably like try to read through the first couple chapters, and if I hate it, just take it off my TBR at this point, because I'm pretty sure it's been on my TBR list for like 4 years. True story. Question number 5 is a book you recently added to your TBR. So the most recent book I added to my TBR was called Think Outside the Boss by Olivia Hale. I will put a picture of it up here. And you know me, I'm a sucker for like falling in love with the boss romances. Because I don't know, I would never actually date my boss in real life, but I think it's funny that I'm like, I love those kind of romances. I've read so many of them. So this one is literally like, from what I haven't read it, but from what I can read from the synopsis or the back of the book or the blurb or whatever you call it, is they meet at a party, right, and end up going home together at the party. But then later on, she gets a job and finds out that the CEO of this new job she has is the guy she had met at the party and went home with. So, I mean, I've read that trope a million times, and I still love it. I think that's the trope. I will probably pick it up because I've read so many and I just love that trope. So, I don't know. Again, I would never date my boss in real life because I don't like getting fired. But there you go. Book number 6, a book that's on your TBR strictly because of its beautiful cover. I gotta be honest, I don't really have anything that's on my ebook TBR for the cover. I do have some books on my physical TBR that are there for the cover because I am a sucker for step backs. So if it's a beautiful historical romance novel with a gorgeous step back, I'm probably gonna buy it whether I read it or not. But as far as ebooks go, probably the same thing. I love historical romances that have the girl with the fancy dress. So I will probably download a book that has that cover, which is like 90% of historical romances. So the one I picked just for this is actually not historical. It's the same beautiful dress concept, but in a modern, I think it's modern, because from the outfits it looks like it is. It's a modern romance, and it is called Royal Playboy by, I think it's Nana Malone. I hope it's Maloney. I think it's Malone. Anyways, that's the cover. It looks gorgeous, and I just think it's so striking. She's this beautiful lady, and she's got that purple that like pops with her dark skin, and then he's so handsome with his suit. I just think it's a beautiful cover, and it's unique because I love that it's like an interracial relationship. So I actually haven't read that book. That's on my list. I really would like to read that book before the end of the year. We'll see if I get to it. Number 7, a book on your TBR that you never plan on reading. Anything nonfiction. True. I always see like a devotional or something or biography, and I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. I'll download it, and like, I'm never gonna read it. I don't like nonfiction. Nonfiction to me is like, I have to work for it. But for the purposes of this one, I'll choose probably Higher is Waiting by Tyler Perry. I can't talk. Higher is Waiting by Tyler Perry. I love Tyler Perry. Big fan of him and just in general, and some of the things, like, he's such a famous person, but yet does so much with his money and his esteem to help other people. So I downloaded this because I saw it on sale a couple years ago on Kindle, and I was like, I love it, I'm gonna read it. Never read it, probably never will. I don't like nonfiction. Question number 8, an unpublished book on your TBR that you're excited for. I don't really have unpublished books on my ebook TBR because obviously that would be like ARCs or something, or books you're going to give away. But a book that I've pre-ordered that obviously will be downloaded at midnight, although I'm in Central Time, so I get it at 11 p.m. Anyway, a book that I've pre-ordered that I'm really, really excited for is by Sin I Rise Part 2 by Cora Riley. Comes out on December 15th. Counting down. I have almost 2 weeks. Tomorrow, no, Wednesday will be 2 weeks. Oh, no, 1 week. Oh, you guys. I don't even know what day it is. It comes out in like a week and 2 days. So if you want to know what I'm doing on the 15th, I'll be very tired because I'm going to stay up all night and read it. Okay. Book number 9. A book on your TBR that basically everyone's read but you. Harry Potter. And Outlander. I downloaded the first book of each. Yeah, I don't like Scottish romance. I don't think I'll ever read Outlander. And Harry Potter, like, maybe, but doubtful. But I have them downloaded. Book number 10, a book on your TBR that everyone recommends to you, and that is The Orphan House by Anne Bennett. This book was recommended very strongly to me a couple of years ago. It was like all the rage. This was back when, like, before we were yours, The Orphan Train, and then before we were theirs, or before we were yours, whatever the name of that book is. This came out around the same time, and this book, everyone was reading it, and everyone was telling me it was so good. But again, it's not a romance. From what I can understand, it's like this girl goes home to help after a divorce, to help her dad, and her dad was abandoned at an orphanage as a child, and so she's trying to research this orphanage to find out what happened and who his parents could possibly be and all this kind of stuff. It sounds really interesting. It's historical fiction. I think it's kind of like a dual timeline between like the 40s and present day, from what I understand. And it looks really interesting. I just never read it because it's not a romance. It sounds good. I just haven't read it. I probably should though, because I mean, it sounds good. Number 11, a book on your TBR that you're dying to read. Secrets by Alethea Romig. This is probably going to be one of the next couple books I read. I have heard so many people say they love Alethea Romig, and this book, there's every book she's written pretty much has been recommended to me, but I was told by a lot of people that if you love like mafia type stuff, that this is the book you should pick up. I don't know if it's actual mafia, but reading the back of the book, it's like some kind of organized crime, cartel, mafia-esque type thing, so it's definitely going to fall into something I love to read, which is the mafia trope. And I've been wanting to read Alethea Romig. I have so many people who have read her and just love her, and I haven't read any of her books yet. So I would like to read her and get going on her backlist and try to get caught up because she sounds really good. And the last question number 2, number 12, not number 2, is how many books are on your TBR shelf? Physical books, I don't know. Maybe like 30 on my physical TBR. My spreadsheet that I keep with all of your guys' recommendations is probably close to 200 books. True story. I need to go through it though because I've read some of the books that were recommended, so I need to go through. And then my Kindle shelf is 92 books. That's not counting my Kindle Unlimited downloads that I'm currently reading. So it's probably more like 95. So, alright guys, that's my TBR tag. If you've also done the TBR tag, leave me a link to it below so I can check out your video. And I will be back tomorrow. I'm going to do a book haul with you guys. We're going to go through my bookshelf and pick out the books Mary don't want. Alright guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye!